Hey everyone, of course, back here with David. We're going to be going over some of the kind of bigger companies in the industry, especially Compass, talking about what they've done, but also, kind of what they're bringing to the industry, how it helps and things like that, benefits. First things first, David, how are you?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. No complaints. Probably ate way too much turkey for
Hmm,
Canadian Thanksgiving this past weekend, but
I'm
but things are
jealous.
good. Look, where do you want to kick it off? Do you want to maybe introduce Compass? Maybe it'd be great coming from you. Really, what is Compass, I guess, and a little bit about them.
Yeah, so Compass Pathways, they're really on the research and development side of things here in the psychedelic community. For the better part of the last couple of years, they've been focusing on developing what's called Comp 360. It's a psilocybin-based psychedelic medicine that's designed to be a far more effective treatment for treatment-resistant depression. But aside from that, they're also incorporating the whole therapeutic process into their programs, not just relying on the medicine itself, which is important because, as we know here, the psychedelic medicine, while it's effective, it's really only effective when it's combined with psychotherapeutic programs. And so Compass Pathways recognizes that. And so they really are developing a full 360 approach to everything that they're putting together here with the psychedelic medicines and the therapeutics. And, as we know, they just went through, an IPO process and really shattered all expectations going into it, raising over $127 million and putting them at a market cap, based on their market cap of a valuation of roughly $1 billion. And so really putting, I think, everyone, in the psychedelic community and in the investor communities as well, on notice that psychedelics are moving closer to, entering the mainstream right now. And I think it really has lent a level of credibility to the industry here, which for the better part of the last 2 to 3 years has really been in the developmental phase and sort of making, progress at a steady rate, which I think, you had a lot of people in the investment community sort of in a wait and see sort of pattern, waiting to see, the progress that was made here. But I think this sends a message that things are happening, that, we are moving in the right direction. And if you really take a look at the industry itself, you'll see it's hitting the right milestones. It's ticking off the right boxes. So it is moving in the right direction. And I think the success that Compass Pathways had with their IPO sends that message that now the public markets are ready to take this serious and really, take a very close look at this. And then, of course, you see what MindMed is doing here with applying to uplist to the NASDAQ, Field Trip, being listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange. You really see all of the companies, in the public markets here really aligning themselves. And, I'd be remiss for not throwing ourselves here at Global Trac Solutions into that mix as well. We're focused on positioning ourselves as effectively as possible here, for this next phase of growth and expansion that I think we're going to see in the industry that really is now being, sort of led by Compass Pathways and what they are doing right now. So, we're in that mix as well. And, we've done a fantastic job, up to this point in developing a very reputable and recognized digital platform with Psychedelic Spotlight. And it's also created an opportunity for us to connect with the right leaders and the right advocates and companies within this space that, we are having conversations about how we can grow, how we can take things to the next level here. So, again, this is an exciting time for the industry. I do want to, remind everybody there's still a lot more progress and development left to be made, but we're moving in the right direction. And I think that's what's encouraging.
Yeah. No, awesome. Obviously, Compass sitting right now at, about a $1.3 billion market cap.
Yeah.
And, they had some pretty reputable reports come out and say that, they have targets at $100 a share. So, only 40% of the way, give or take, at the time of this recording. So some movement hopefully to be made, and definitely brought a lot more serious investors' eyes to the space. I look at the Compass Pathways team as probably their biggest asset. Obviously, a ton of kind of ex-Pfizer guys, as well as other major executives from the pharma space that really are bringing to market the hopes of making a product, and they're doing extremely well. So I think some
Yeah.
big power, obviously Compass bringing over that serious atmosphere. Love or hate MindMed, we were chatting off camera, Kevin O'Leary, and bringing the kind of corporate investors in is important in the space. is definitely going to help kind of bring it to the next level. Whether you hate the guy or not, definitely does bring a lot of eyes to what he invests in.
Yeah,
So
and
definitely
you look at
powerful.
Compass. Yeah, the other thing that I didn't mention, Compass is back. One of their main investors is Peter Thiel, former co-founder of PayPal. He was an early investor in Facebook. So obviously he sees the potential here. You mentioned Kevin O'Leary, with MindMed. So obviously we're seeing some pretty big investors, take notice here, and they're obviously betting on their horse, so to speak. And I think it's tough to go wrong. I think looking at what Compass is doing, what MindMed is doing, and even what Field Trip is doing, they're going about things the right way. They're making the progress that needs to be made. You look at Compass, they've gone through the right channels and the right process to get where they are, which started a couple of years ago by applying for and receiving breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA. So they're doing things the right way. It's a steady progress, but again, I base it on the certain milestones that they're hitting and they're achieving, and they seem to be hitting the right ones, which keeps me very encouraged with the progress that they're making.
Yeah. No, which is great. So again, just I think at the end of the day, just brings a more serious kind of look to psychedelics. And for the investors, I was sitting on the sidelines like, oh, this is some BS. There's some real people getting into the space, which is great. So fantastic there. Uh, is there anything else we wanted to talk? Compass, how they've been helping the industry, or even some of the other companies out there.
Well, I mean, I think more than anything else, what encourages me about what we're seeing, with each of these companies' progress is the accessibility. That this is leading to accessibility, which at the end of the day, when we look at the big picture of the industry and why I, happen to be so driven and inspired to see psychedelics get pushed into the mainstream is to ensure accessibility to the individuals within our society that can potentially benefit from psychedelic medicines and therapeutics the most. We're talking about that segment of society, the hundreds of thousands suffering from depression, anxiety, PTSD, addiction. And so the progress that they are making brings accessibility closer to society. And so for me, that's what's more important than anything else. I mean, say what you will about, some of these companies and their approach. At the end of the day, this is all about accessibility and making sure that we get these medicines and we get these therapeutics to the people that need them the most. That we can possibly save people's lives. And so that, to me, more than anything, is what I want to highlight and what's important, and why I continue to follow their progress and stay very encouraged with what they're doing.
Cool. No, very true. And obviously, you're seeing that grow day after day in this industry. For the people that are watching this, kind of asking, well, how's this help? Either Psychedelic Spotlight or Global Trac. Do you have any kind of ideas for the benefits? Whether it's indirect or directly?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. You mentioned, you've had a lot of, people within the investment community that have been on the sidelines, sort of, waiting and seeing, what's going to happen here. I think this obviously lends that level of credibility to the industry here. And so, yes, that can trickle down and certainly benefit, what we're doing here with Global Track Solutions. But again, I mean, I'm never one to tell anybody, what to do with their investment dollars, what to invest in, what not to invest in. But I will say openly and candidly, I think now is a very good time to take a look at the psychedelic industry. It really is coming together. And I can say that as someone that's as heavily immersed in this space as I am. I'm speaking with other leaders and other companies, and I see what's going on here. And so I think, if you are someone in the investment community, I think now it's time to do your due diligence, look at these companies. Again, I'd love to throw our hat in the ring. We're certainly working on far more ambitious, goals and objectives in terms of our own growth here in this space. And we want to be able to capitalize, on the momentum that we're seeing here in this industry right now and its growth. But now is the time, I think if you want to be in on something somewhat early, I think you still have that window of opportunity right now. So that's just something I'd love to share to anybody out there that maybe is still sitting on the fence here and not too sure whether or not psychedelics is something that they want to take a look at from an investment perspective.